email crushes social media, and it's not even close. So I recently sent out a product announcement about exploiting topics on Twitter, and that tweet got 11 clicks. We sent out the same product announcement to the email list, and that email got over 1,500 clicks. That's 145 times more clicks. Now I know that's just one random example, but it goes to show that when it comes to getting people to actually take action, email is way, way better than social media. Now clearly, social media has a place, right? Like every time I post something like this on LinkedIn or Twitter and saying that email is better than social media, people inevitably comment saying, then why are you on social media? If social media is so bad, why are you on here? And I'm not saying that, social media doesn't have a place. It does. When you compare the two, it's not even close, especially when it comes to people actually doing stuff that you want, like signing up for your newsletter, subscribing to something, paying for something. Email just crushes social media, and it's not even close. So why is this? Why is email just objectively superior to social media? Well, first of all, when you have an email list, it's something you own. It's an asset you control, as opposed to a social media account, which can be canceled at any time. You can have the algorithm change and you're not gonna get in the feed like you were before. It's an asset you own and control. Now, obviously, like people use Gmail, people use Hotmail, and they somewhat control whether you can get in front of them, but it's much more of an asset that you own and control versus a social media account, which someone else obviously owns. If social media accounts can just close your account like that, it's not really a true asset. But that's more of a risk thing, right? Like there's a risk of your account getting closed. It's super unlikely that's gonna happen, but there is a high risk of an algorithm changing and you're not able to get in front of people like you once were. That's not really the case with email. Like most people's inboxes are pretty consistent, which leads me to my second reason of why email is superior is that there's less competition in the inbox. When you send someone an email, it's way less competitive than someone's social media feed, even if someone gets a lot of emails. It just night and day in terms of how much it can stand out versus a social media feed. The stuff you need to do to stand on social media right now is just absurd. You need to blow things up. You need to be half naked. You need to be doing stunts. It's just so hard to stand on social media. But in email, all you really need to do is you provide some value and people will generally open your email, which is why, like I mentioned, we got so many more clicks to our product announcement via email on social media, even though the follower count was pretty much the same. Like the Exploring Topics newsletter has about 90,000 subscribers. I have like 100,000 on Twitter. So the number of people is the same, but the number of clicks was like 145 times more. So when it comes to just getting actual engagement, not likes, not comments, real engagement, people clicking and visiting where you want them to, email is just so much easier to get in front of people. But more important than anything is that email is better for sales. Like if you go back to when I had Backlinko, 100% of that business's revenue was from email. Literally, like we would do product launches via email and that's how we made every single dollar. There was no way to sign up from a website, from social media. And in fact, I even stopped sharing course-related stuff on social media because it just didn't convert. Even sometimes when I would share something and it would get a little bit of traction and engagement, no one would actually buy. Versus email where people would buy like crazy. When it comes to sales, like getting people to actually buy things, nothing beats email. In contrast that with social, social's more for building an audience, building relationships, sharing good content. It's not really a place to close the deal, so to speak. Obviously there are exceptions to that. That's why Facebook ads exist. So that's why Instagram ads exist. But even those aren't your traditional social media pieces of content, right? Those are ads. It's a little bit different. If you try to actually sell on a place like Twitter, it's very difficult to actually get people to convert versus email where it's actually pretty easy. And the proof is in the pudding when it comes to how much more valuable an email list is versus a social media account. You see email lists getting bought all the time. The Hustle, which is essentially an email newsletter, got bought for millions of dollars. Morning Brew got bought for millions of dollars. A crypto-focused newsletter called Milk Road got bought for millions of dollars soon after coming out. You don't really see the same thing with people's Twitter accounts. Like there's just really not a lot of value there. There is value in email, that's why people are paying millions of dollars for it. In fact, when I sold Backlinko, a big selling point of selling the site was the fact that we had 200,000 subscribers. They had no interest in my social media accounts, even though they got them. It wasn't really a big part of the deal. It was more like, you have them, I might as well get them. Even looking at Exploiting Topics, which is a SaaS company, not something you really associate a lot with email marketing. It's a lot of like outbound sales, trials. It's been huge for us. I mean, we send a newsletter every week that keeps us top of mind. And in fact, when a lot of people reach out to us to do demos from enterprise companies, They say, we've been on the newsletter for a couple months, we really enjoyed it, and now we're interested in, sort of upgrading. And also, if you look at the MRR of Exploding Topics, about 25% of that comes from product launches we've done to the email list. I would say 0% came from social media. Now, granted, we don't do a lot of social media, so it's a little bit of an unfair comparison, but the fact is that email is a huge driver of sales for the business. Even though we don't do a lot with it, I'm sure there's more meat on the bone there in terms of like onboarding sequences and things like that, but just in terms of just sending a simple weekly newsletter, doing an occasional launch to a year, that's added 25% to our MRR. Another reason I prefer email over social is that it's just easier to do. All you need to do for email marketing is write an email and click send. That's what it comes down to. Obviously, there's way more nuance in that, but it's relatively easy in terms of the format. With social media, it's becoming so video focused. Like TikTok's obviously video focused, Twitter is becoming video focused, LinkedIn is becoming video focused, Instagram's becoming video focused. It's a harder format to do. Right now, I have a light camera, video editing. There's a huge process that goes into creating a really good video. Creating a really good email is easy. So what does this all mean? What should you actually do with this information? Well, I think it's important to be realistic about the expectations of each format. When it comes to getting engagement, getting kind of your name out there, getting people to see you for the first time, social media is really good for that. It has a place. If you want people to act in some way, to take action, to do something, to buy something, that's where email comes into play. And that's why I'm a big fan of the newsletter, because it's the perfect bridge between the two. You have someone see you on social, and instead of asking for this huge call to action like this to buy a course or something, you just ask them to sign up for your newsletter, which is valuable anyway. And then from there, you can have them take action on different things. And in fact, with Exploding Topics, that's exactly what we do. Like, we have the site, people visit the site, they sign up for the newsletter, and then later on, we pitch them. We don't funnel them to our social media accounts because we know that that's sort of a black hole. There's no point in sending someone on your website to social media. In fact, it should be the opposite. It should be like social media to newsletter, social media to website to newsletter. But you never really want to do the opposite. And there's a reason that sites don't have pop-ups that ask you to like them on Facebook or to follow them on LinkedIn. It's because they know that they want to get your email address because that's the most valuable thing. So yeah, that's about enough of my rant for today. Now I'd like to hear from you. What's your experience been with email versus social and social versus email? I'd love to hear what you have to say. So leave a comment below this video and I'll see you in the next video.